We begin, though, with what's been the discussion at Cabinet's meeting today, religious freedoms and religious discrimination. The government's been working on this for a long time. It stems back to the same-sex marriage debate. But this Religious Discrimination Act, now being considered, not yet signed off by Cabinet, is a more limited law than some in the Liberal Party would like to see when it comes to religious freedoms. Cabinet has been discussing this as some churches have been urging the government to go further, to actually give blanket protections for people to freely express their religious views. Political reporter Eliza Edwards has more.
The Prime Minister's own faith was in the spotlight during the election campaign as Scott Morrison reaffirmed his commitment to enshrine religious freedoms into law.
I do know that many Christians around the country feel exactly the way you do. I know they feel exactly the way they do. And so we need to make sure that Australians of whatever faith don't feel like that.
Now, nearly a year after Philip Ruddock's Religious Freedom Review was leaked, Cabinet is nutting out the finer details of its plan. The laws would make it an offence to discriminate against someone on religious grounds when it comes to the provision of health services or employment. For some in the Senate, that's not enough. Corey Bernardi calling for those protections to be extended.
I would argue that, for example, in the case of a religious hospital, if there's a Catholic hospital, that they shouldn't be forced to perform abortion services.
Despite welcoming the fresh discussions around religious freedoms, the Catholic Church wants the laws to go further in recognising religion as a universal human right. Melbourne's Catholic Archbishop arguing religious schools, hospitals and charities should be able to operate in accordance with their faith. Some within the coalition are also up for a fight on the issue as they demand protections for workers who openly express, not just hold, religious views. That push prompted by Israel Folau's dismissal by Rugby Australia for sharing scripture on social media.
It's critically important that in that process we have complete freedom of speech so that we can consider all the competing ideas about faith, and I hope that the government's bill will ensure that in this country.
But the Attorney-General is making it clear his plan for a Religious Discrimination Act would mirror other anti-discrimination laws, not provide a blanket protection for employees like Israel Folau to express religious views, countering concerns from Labor and the Greens that any move to bolster religious freedoms could lead to discrimination against other sections of the population.
We do want to be cautious that we don't want to find ourselves in a space where we're creating a one subject matter Bill of Rights whilst ignoring all the other legitimate claims from the rest of the community about the rights that they'd like to have protected.
Once Cabinet ticks off on the plan, the government hopes to have its draft religious freedom laws finalised by the end of the year. Eliza Edwards, Sky News, Canberra.